Everyone says Ubisoft invented the open world checklist formula. The towers, the outposts, the map icons that multiply like a virus. Here's the thing, they didn't. And more importantly, that's not actually why modern Ubisoft games feel bad. Here is the question I actually want to answer. Why do older Ubisoft games, some of them from over a decade ago, still feel genuinely good to play, while a lot of their recent stuff feels like homework? It's not nostalgia. Assassin's Creed Anthology with, even the third one, I replayed them not long ago. They hold up, they feel focused, intentional, but take AC Odyssey. Ancient Greece is beautifully reconstructed, but somewhere in there it stops feeling like a game and starts feeling like a second job. And the easy answer, the answer everyone gives is, we've just done this so many times. We are burned out on the formula. I don't think that's it. I don't think that's it at all. So let's start with the formula itself, because I think there's a massive misconception about where it actually came from. The Ubisoft formula: fill them up with basic scripted activities, make them appear constantly so the player never runs out of things to do, keep them locked in a dopamine loop, that's not a Ubisoft invention. That's just the most primitive, lowest effort way of structuring an open world. And it emerged naturally in the 2000s. Because when you are building a huge open world and you need to fill it with content, this approach basically writes itself. Think about The Saboteur, not a Ubisoft game, but it does exactly what people now call Ubisoft design. You are liberating areas of Nazi-occupied Paris, uncovering sections of the map, repeating variations of the same mission types across the entire city. Prototype, Crackdown, Mercenaries 2, World in Flames. These are all doing the same thing. Because the logic behind it is simple, almost obvious from a production standpoint. You define a handful of activity types, then you copy-paste variations of them across the map. It massively streamlines production. It lets you build a huge world without having to design hundreds of unique encounters. It's not creative, but it works. And it works because it taps into something real, completing tasks, clearing zones, unlocking areas. That feedback loop genuinely feels good, at least for a while. Ubisoft didn't invent this, but they did something that mattered more. They claimed it, not officially, but culturally. And the moment that really cemented the cultural ownership, for me at least, was Far Cry 3. Because Far Cry 3 does something most open-world games don't do. It connects the dopamine loop with meaning. Take the skill tree. In most games, a skill tree is a UI element, a menu. You earn XP, you click a node, your numbers go up. In Far Cry 3, the skill tree is a tattoo. It's literally drawn onto Jason's arm as he grows into his role with the Rakyat. The mechanic and the narrative are the same thing. The radio towers. Climbing them isn't just about unlocking map sections. You are redirecting communications infrastructure in an active conflict. You are improving your faction's reach in a war zone. There's a reason for it that lives inside the world. The outposts. Liberating them expands your faction's territory. You can see it on the map. The world visibly changes. Your actions have real consequences that the game shows you. Now, are these activities repetitive? Yes, absolutely. You are still doing a familiar loop, but Far Cry 3 wraps that loop in context. It gives every action a why. And because of that, you don't feel like you are grinding through a checklist. You feel like you are doing something that matters. Far Cry 3 works because it combines dopamine with meaning. And that combination is much harder to pull off than it sounds. Now, before I get to why modern Ubisoft lost that thread, I want to bring up The Witcher 3, because it deserves credit here. The Witcher 3 has an insane number of side quests, and a lot of them mechanically are simple. Go here, kill this thing, come back. Sound familiar? But almost every one of them feels like a short HBO episode. There's a character, there's a situation, there's something at stake. You are emotionally invested in an outcome. Not because the gameplay is complex, but because the writing makes you care. What The Witcher 3 figured out is that you can use the Ubisoft formula as an invisible skeleton. as long as you dress it in story and character and consequence. The narrative competes so effectively for your attention that you don't even notice the repetition underneath. It didn't replace the formula, it disguised it masterfully. And that's the key insight I keep coming back to. All games are repetitive to some extent. The question is what you are asking the player to pay attention to. Mechanics and loops, or the meaning behind them? Bethesda figured something similar out, just from a different direction. Their philosophy is fewer scripts, more systems. Don't hold the player's hand. Let them exist in the world on their own terms. It's a completely different instinct, but it's still about making the world feel real, rather than manufactured. Which brings me back to Assassin's Creed, because the original game is a really useful case study here. People often dismiss it as repetitive, and yeah, the structure is rigid. You go to a city, you do reconnaissance missions, you find your target, you kill them, repeat. But here's the thing, it's coherent, it's focused. You are an assassin. Everything you do in that game reflects that. Eavesdropping on conversations to gather intel, that's what a spy does. Intimidating informants, scouting from high points to understand the terrain. Even the synchronization mechanics make sense within the world. You are a trained killer, learning the city before making your move. Every activity connects back to your role. There's no noise, no activities that exist just to exist. Everything is aligned with a single clear identity. AC2, Brotherhood, Revelations, AC3, they built on that foundation. They added complexity, but they kept the coherence. Those games still feel genuinely good to play today, because you always know who you are, and what you are doing, and why. And then something started to shift. AC4 Black Flag was the first game that really pushed Far Cry-style checklist design into Assassin's Creed. And I remember thinking at the time, why are you mixing Far Cry with Assassin's Creed? Black Flag is genuinely beloved. The naval combat is incredible, the atmosphere is amazing. But the open world structure felt like it came from a different game. Then the Unity came along, and that's where the microtransaction pressure started becoming visible in the design itself. And that's when the problems really started compounding, because by the time you get to Odyssey, which, let me be clear, I actually like, the world is beautiful, ancient Greece is incredibly well realized, and there's a version of that game that could have been exceptional. But look at what you're actually doing in it. Because just like AC1, it's a good case study, this time of a modern era Ubisoft. You are supposedly a mercenary, a sword for hire. That's the identity the game sets up, but then you are randomly killing legendary animals, liberating prisoners for no particular reason, running errands that have no clear connection to who you are or what you want. And the game itself can't seem to decide what it is. Is it a historical epic? A fantasy? I mean, you are fighting minotaurs and other mythical aliens. Is it a sci-fi story? All three? A little of each? And the show goes on. It calls itself an RPG, but it's less like an RPG and more like a single-player MMO. You are not really role-playing, you are grinding. You'll need to grind for tens of hours just to unlock reliable stealth kills. And the whole time, the game is quietly pointing you toward XP boosts and time savers and microtransactions. And Valhalla doubles down on checklist design with very little meaning behind it. And let me be clear, I love almost every AC game, but that doesn't mean I won't call out that kind of crap. So, what happened? How do you go from Far Cry 3, a game that made the formula feel meaningful, to Valhalla, which makes it feel like work? I think the honest answer is conflicting priorities, and a lot of them. Ubisoft is a publicly traded company under serious investor pressure. Their stock has dropped massively from its peak. And when you are in that position, creativity feels like a risk you can't afford. So you double down on what used to work. You make it bigger, more content, more hours, more icons. But the deeper problem isn't the quantity, it's the direction. Modern Ubisoft games feel like they were designed by multiple teams pulling in different directions, each with a different vision of what the game should be. You've got the historical RPG team, the mythological fantasy team, the monetization team, the live service team. And what you end up with is a compromise. Something that satisfies no single vision completely because it's trying to serve all of them at once. Far Cry 3 feels like it was made by people who agreed on what they were making. AC Odyssey feels like it wasn't. And players feel that. Even if they can't articulate exactly why, they feel the absence of a unified voice. That's what I mean when I say the problem isn't the formula, it's the meaning or the lack of it. So, here's where I land on all of this. The Ubisoft formula is not the problem. It was never the problem. The Witcher 3 used it, Far Cry 3 used it, the original Assassin's Creed essentially used it. These are beloved games. The problem is that the formula stopped fitting the kinds of games Ubisoft is making now. And instead of rethinking the structure, instead of asking what does this world actually need, they kept the skeleton and hollowed out everything that made it feel alive. Humans care about meaning. We notice almost instinctively when something is going through the motions. When there's no coherent identity behind the activity. When the game is asking us to do things not because they make sense, but because they fill time. Far Cry 3 gave you a tattoo that told your story. Valhalla gave you another icon on the map. That's the difference. Anyway, that's what I've been thinking about. Let me know in the comments what you think of modern Ubisoft titles. I'm curious whether it's just formula burnout or if there's something more going on. If you want more of this kind of thing, subscribe. I'll be back with more. And for now, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.